Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and I'm so glad you're here with us today.
And I'm Jessica, your co-host. If you're someone who wants to speak English more naturally, more confidently, and without getting stuck on every word, you're in the right place.
That's right. Today's episode is all about a big question. How can you improve your English speaking fluency? A lot of learners think fluency means speaking perfect English, but actually, it's more about speaking smoothly and confidently, even if you make small mistakes.
Exactly. And over the next 30 minutes, we're going to break fluency down into simple steps. We'll share real examples, practical tips, and even a little role play so you can hear the difference between stuck English and fluent English.
So, whether you're listening while commuting, cooking, or just relaxing at home, stay with us because this episode could be a game changer for your English.
All right, Mark, let's dive in.
So, Jessica, before we talk about how to become fluent, I think we should clear up a big question first. What does fluency really mean?
Yes, because so many learners misunderstand this. A lot of people think fluency means speaking like a native speaker or never making mistakes. But honestly, that's not true.
Right. In fact, even native speakers make mistakes. We forget words, we pause, we say or all the time. But we're still fluent because we can keep the conversation moving naturally.
Exactly. So fluency isn't about perfection, it's about flow. Can you express your ideas without constantly stopping to translate? Can you keep a conversation going without freezing up? That's fluency.
Let's give an example. Imagine someone says, yesterday I go supermarket buy apple. The grammar isn't perfect, but the meaning is clear, and they said it smoothly. That's actually closer to fluency than someone who says nothing because they're scared of making a mistake.
I love that example. Fluency is really about communication. It's about being understood, not about sounding like a textbook.
And the good news is, you don't need 10 years of study to sound fluent. You just need the right mindset and daily practice.
Yes. And later in this episode, we're going to give some practical steps that anyone can use to boost fluency, even if you only have 10 minutes a day.
But before we get into those steps, let's talk about what usually blocks fluency. Because once you know the common mistakes, it's much easier to fix them. All right, so now that we understand fluency is about flow, not perfection, let's talk about the biggest things that block learners from speaking fluently.
Yes, because sometimes learners are working really hard, but they're actually building habits that slow them down instead of helping them.
Exactly. The first big blocker is thinking in your native language first. You know, when someone hears a question in English, translates it into their own language, thinks of the answer in that language, and then tries to translate it back into English.
Right. That process takes way too long. It's like having two translators in your brain. By the time you're ready to answer, the conversation has already moved on.
I used to see this with my students all the time. They knew the vocabulary, but the mental translation made their speech very slow and full of long pauses.
The second blocker is fear of mistakes. So many learners are worried. What if I use the wrong tense? What if I mispronounce a word? What if people laugh at me?
Yeah, and here's the truth. Nobody cares if you make small mistakes. Native speakers care more about understanding your idea, not about whether your grammar is perfect.
Absolutely. In fact, mistakes are proof that you're using the language. The only people who never make mistakes are the ones who never speak.
Well said. Now, the third blocker is over-focusing on grammar while speaking. Grammar is important for writing, but when you're having a real-time conversation, grammar rules shouldn't be in the driver's seat.
Exactly. Fluency means communication first. If you're in the middle of a conversation and thinking, wait, is this past perfect or past continuous? You're going to freeze.
And that leads to the fourth big blocker: lack of speaking practice. Many learners spend hours reading and writing, but they almost never practice speaking out loud.
Yes, that's like trying to learn swimming by reading a book about swimming. At some point, you have to jump in the water.
I love that. English is the same. You can't become fluent just by studying. You need to use your voice, train your mouth, and get comfortable producing words in real time.
So, to quickly summarize, the four biggest blockers are thinking in your native language, fear of mistakes, focusing too much on grammar, and not practicing speaking enough.
Exactly. And the good news is, we're going to show you practical steps to remove those blockers and build real fluency.
So, let's start with the first step: learning how to think in English.
So, Jessica, we said one of the biggest blockers is thinking in your native language first. The solution is simple but powerful. Start thinking in English.
Yes, because if you always translate in your head, you'll always be slow. But if you train your brain to think directly in English, your speech becomes much faster and more natural.
Exactly. Let's be real. It feels strange at first, right?
Oh, totally. Many learners say, but Mark, how can I think in English if I don't know enough words? The answer is, you start small.
Right. For example, instead of translating "I am hungry" from your native language, just practice saying it to yourself in English when you feel hungry. I'm hungry. I want food.
Yes, and you can do this with daily life. When you're walking, you can describe what you see. The sky is blue. The bus is late. I'm tired today. It doesn't have to be complicated.
That's a great tip. Another exercise I give my students is inner voice practice. Basically, whenever you're thinking to yourself, like planning your day, you try to do it in English.
That's powerful. And you don't even need a partner for that. You're just changing your own thoughts into English little by little.
Exactly. And if you don't know a word, here's the trick. Don't stop. Just explain it in simple English. For example, if you don't know the word microwave, you can say, "the machine that makes food hot quickly."
Yes, that's what fluent speakers do. We work around the missing word instead of freezing. That skill is actually more important than having a perfect vocabulary.
Let's give a quick mini example. Jessica, pretend you're thinking in English while making coffee in the morning.
Okay, I need coffee. Where's my cup? Oh, it's dirty. I'll wash it. Now I'll make coffee. It smells good. See? Very simple sentences, but it's all English.
Perfect. And if you do this every day, even for just a few minutes, you'll start noticing that English words come to your mind faster without translation.
And that's fluency in action. It's not about big, complicated sentences. It's about training your brain to stay in English.
Exactly. So step 1, stop translating, start thinking directly in English, even with small phrases.
Yes, and when you combine this with the next step, training your mouth, you'll start sounding fluent much faster.
So Jessica, we've talked about training the mind to think in English. But fluency isn't just in your brain, it's also in your mouth.
Yes, your mouth is like a muscle, and if you don't train it, the words will feel heavy or difficult to say. That's why we need to train the mouth to move smoothly in English.
Exactly. Many learners know the words in their head, but when they try to say them out loud, their tongue just doesn't cooperate.
Right, because speaking is physical. English has different sounds, rhythms, and mouth movements than other languages. If you don't practice saying them, your brain and mouth won't connect quickly.
So, how do we train the mouth? One of the best exercises is shadowing. That means listening to a short piece of English, maybe a podcast, a movie line, or a YouTube clip, and repeating it immediately, like an echo.
Yes. It forces your mouth to copy the rhythm, the sounds, even the intonation of a native speaker. And you don't need to understand every single word. You're just copying the music of the language.
Let's do a quick demo. I'll say a short phrase, and Jessica, you shadow me. English fluency takes practice every day.
English fluency takes practice every day.
Nice! Now let's try it a little faster. English fluency takes practice every day.
English fluency takes practice every day.
Perfect. See how it starts to feel natural after a few repetitions?
Yes. Another fun exercise is tongue twisters. They make your mouth stronger and faster. For example, she sells seashells by the seashore.
That one always gets me. Try saying it 3 times quickly. Your tongue really gets a workout.
Exactly. And the point isn't to be perfect. The point is to make your mouth comfortable with English sounds so real conversations feel easier.
Another tip. Record yourself speaking. Sometimes when you hear your own voice, you notice which words or sounds are difficult, and then you can practice them more.
Yes, and that builds confidence too. You start to hear yourself speaking smoothly, and that motivates you to keep going.
So, step 2 is all about turning English from something in your head into something your mouth can produce quickly and smoothly.
Exactly. And when we put step 1 and step 2 together, thinking in English and training your mouth, you're already halfway to real fluency.
But we're not done yet. Next, we're going to show you fluency in action with a role play so you can actually hear the difference between stuck English and fluent English. Okay, so we've explained the ideas, but now let's demonstrate what fluency looks like compared to stuck English.
Yes, I think listeners will really hear the difference. Let's do a little role play. Mark, you be the stuck English learner, and I'll be the fluent version.
All right, let's imagine a simple situation. Someone asks, "What did you do yesterday?" I'll answer like a learner who's stuck and translating. Uh, Yesterday I go supermarket and I buy how to say apple and orange and then I back home.
Okay, that's the stuck version. The listener can understand it, but it feels slow, full of pauses, and not very confident. Now let me show the fluent version with the same idea, but smoother. Yesterday I went to the supermarket. I bought some apples and oranges, and then I went back home.
Wow, same meaning, but totally different feeling. The fluent version sounds natural, connected, and easy to follow.
Exactly. Notice that I didn't use complicated grammar or fancy vocabulary. It was just simple English, but with flow.
And that's the key. Fluency isn't about big words, it's about confidence and rhythm. Even if your grammar isn't perfect, you can sound fluent.
Let's do one more example. Mark, ask me what my plans are for tomorrow.
Sure. What are you going to do tomorrow?
Tomorrow I will, meet my friend for coffee, maybe shopping.
And now the fluent version?
Tomorrow I'm meeting a friend for coffee, and maybe we'll go shopping after.
Much smoother. Same meaning, but the fluent style makes it sound like natural conversation instead of a school exercise.
Yes. And listeners, here's the important lesson. Fluency is about reducing the long pauses, speaking in simple sentences, and letting your thoughts flow in English.
Exactly. And the best way to get there is by practicing regularly thinking in English and training your mouth like we just explained.
And in our next step, we're going to talk about something just as important as practice, building confidence in speaking.
So far, we've covered thinking in English and training your mouth. But fluency also depends on something deeper: confidence.
Yes, because you can know all the words in the world, but if you're too nervous to use them, fluency disappears.
Exactly. Many learners stay quiet because they're afraid of making mistakes. But here's the truth: confidence matters more than perfection.
I totally agree. And confidence doesn't magically appear, you build it step by step. For example, one simple way is to record your voice. Just talk for 1 minute about your day and listen back. At first it feels strange, but then you realize, hey, I can actually speak.
Yes, and the more you hear yourself speaking English, the more natural it feels. Another tip is to practice with a partner, or even with AI, podcasts, or language apps, so you get used to speaking without pressure.
And here's my favorite: celebrate small wins. If you had a 2-minute conversation with someone in English, that's a success. Don't focus on the mistakes. Focus on the fact that you communicated.
Exactly. Confidence grows when you stop punishing yourself for errors and start rewarding yourself for progress.
So, step 3 is all about mindset. Believe that your English is good enough to communicate, and the more you use it, the more fluent you'll sound.
Yes, and speaking of using it, our next step is about turning fluency practice into a daily habit. So we've talked about thinking in English, training your mouth, and building confidence. But Jessica, here's the big question. How do learners make fluency a daily habit?
That's the key, right? Because fluency doesn't come from one big study session. It comes from small, consistent practice every single day.
Exactly. You don't need 3 hours a day. Even 10 to 15 minutes of speaking practice can make a huge difference if you do it daily.
Yes. For example, you can make a routine like, every morning, describe what you're doing out loud in English. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making tea. I'm checking my phone. Simple, but powerful.
I love that. Another daily habit is self-talk. Just talk to yourself throughout the day. Ask questions, answer them, narrate what's happening around you.
Yes, and if you have a partner, you can add a daily speaking challenge. Maybe every evening you call a friend or text a short voice message in English. Even 1 or 2 minutes counts.
That's great. And here's another tip. Combine speaking with listening. For example, listen to a short podcast clip and then try to repeat it or summarize it out loud.
Exactly. That way you're not only practicing your speaking, but also your listening and memory at the same time.
And the best part is you can connect these habits to your existing routine. If you make coffee every morning, make that your English practice time. If you take the bus, practice shadowing during the ride.
Yes, make English a natural part of your life instead of something extra and heavy. That's how habits stick.
So step 4 is simple. Speak a little every day. Consistency is more important than perfection.
Exactly. And in just a few weeks, you'll notice your fluency getting stronger because your brain and mouth are practicing daily.
And to help our listeners put this into action, we've prepared a little fluency workout challenge they can start today. All right, listeners, it's challenge time. We don't just want you to listen to this podcast. We want you to take action.
Yes? So here's your fluency workout challenge for today. It only takes 2 minutes, but if you do it every day, you'll see big improvements.
Here's how it works. Step 1. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Step 2. Talk out loud in English about your day. For example, this morning I woke up late. I made coffee. I checked my messages. Just keep going until the timer ends.
And don't worry about grammar mistakes or fancy vocabulary. The goal is to keep talking without stopping. Even if you get stuck, use simple words or explain around the word you don't know.
Exactly. Remember, fluency means flow, not perfection.
And if you want to push yourself a little more, record your 2-minute talk. Listen back later and notice your progress week by week.
So your challenge, starting today, do this 2-minute fluency workout once a day for the next 7 days.
Yes, and by the end of the week, you'll already feel more confident and smoother in English.
All right, are you ready? Because your fluency starts the moment you hit play on that timer. Wow, we covered a lot today. We talked about what fluency really means, the biggest blockers, and practical steps like thinking in English, training your mouth, building confidence, and creating daily speaking habits.
Yes, and don't forget your 2-minute fluency workout challenge, just a small step each day, and you'll notice big improvements over time.
Remember, fluency isn't about perfection. It's about confidence, flow, and consistent practice. Even small daily actions make a huge difference.
Exactly. So keep speaking, keep practicing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Your English is already good enough to communicate, and every time you speak, you're getting better.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next episode with more tips to level up your English fluency.
Bye for now, and keep speaking English every day.